Hello everyone and welcome to the actual last game we'll be showing from the Sinquefield Cup, Grandchester Fabiano Caruana versus Alireza Firouzja, and I've started covering the tournament as of round 3, so I skipped this game, but as it is a most crucial one for this tournament, I will cover it. So it's Fabiano versus Alireza round 1 game, and as Alireza won the tournament and Fabi got second place, only half a point behind him, it is really necessary to show it. Plus, it is incredible, and it's not like it's okay, you have a clash of two former 2800s and it's a 25 move game, a brilliancy, or one player makes something really silly and the other one takes over. No, this is an actual fight, a real struggle. This is like a movie with story, with everything, with an actual plot. And if you haven't seen the game, or probably you have, but maybe you haven't studied it in great detail, there is quite a lot to explore and enjoy here. So that being said, let's check it out, and then we are going onto other things. We have pawn to e4 by Fabiano Caruana, pawn to e5 by Alireza Firouzja, knight f3, knight to c6, and bishop to c4. The Italian game is on the board, and Alireza goes knight to f6. He avoids even the remote possibility of Fabi going for the Evans Gambit, and that is definitely the right approach. We have pawn to d3, bishop to c5, we have pawn to c3 and d6, transposing into the main line of the Giuoco Pianissimo. We have pawn to b4, chasing away the bishop, bishop to b6, and pawn to a4. Now, in the main line of the Giuoco Piano, this is the so-called bird attack. We have pawn to a5 and pawn to b5, knight to e7, both Fabi and Alireza castle, and knight b to d2. We have knight to g6, and if you look at the situation on the clock, neither of them are really wasting any time here. Fabi still with 2 hours and 3 minutes on the clock. Alireza also 2 hours, 2 minutes on the clock. And okay, we reach a position where many moves are possible, like bishop to b3, bishop to a2, bishop to a3, like rook to e1, all very good moves and all moves that have been played here. Fabi goes for the immediate pawn to e4. We have bishop to g4 and queen to c2, getting the queen out of the pin. We have queen to d7, connecting the rooks, and rook to e1. We have rook f to e8, and interestingly, the position has been reached before this year, some 2 months ago in the, if you remember, we covered a few games from the Uzbek Chess Masters tournament. Nodirbek Abdusattorov had it against Alexander Grishuk and continued bishop to b2. Nodirbek defeated the Grishuk in this game, but here we have pawn to h3, deviating from that one, and it is now as of move 14 that we have a completely new game, and this is where our story begins. Alireza did spend some time reaching this. Fabi still over 2 hours on the clock. And here bishop captures on f3. Bishop to h5 also possible, as you can't really play g4. You know that Fabi is just gonna, Alireza will just sacrifice for the attack, and you're not gonna have a great time. But it can be played like bishop h5, something like bishop to f1, and so on. If this, then you just sacrifice. Knight captures, queen captures with check, king h1, and knight h4, and this is really bad. Like captures, the rook will get into the game. The bishop controlling this diagonal. Very soon white will have to resign. So after h3, the immediate bishop captures by Alireza, knight captures, and e captures on d4. We have bishop to b2, first developing, and d captures on c3, grabbing the pawn, bishop captures, and now knight to e5. So Fabi did sacrifice a pawn here, and he's banking on Alireza not making all the top moves. You can see that Fabi is actually gaining time. He has 2 hours and 4 minutes on the clock. Alireza already down to an hour and 20 minutes. Knight captures, we have d captures, and rook a to d1. Queen to e7, and now rook to d3. Even with this rook lift, Fabi still not wasting any time. And now rook e to d8. And here we reach a moment where Alireza also spent quite a lot of time here. He's already down to almost an hour. But maybe Fabi reached a point where he doesn't exactly know how to continue here. Maybe he thought Alireza would go rook a to d8, or maybe he's just spending some time now to actually remember what he knows about the disposition. But he does play rook to f3. This is Fabi's first think of the game, and he does spend some 26 minutes on this move. So rook to f3, and it is by far the top move recommended by the engine. So Fabi definitely on track here. We have rook to d7, Alireza preparing to double up, and now a 30-minute thing from Fabi. He goes rook to f5, and here it's again not clear on how to continue because the engine gives like g4, rook to c1, also bishop to b2 as the top moves. Fabi goes rook to f5. But okay, it can be played. The e5 pawn is attacked, and Alireza defends it by just putting a bishop on d4. So bishop to d4 and bishop back to d2. Fabi definitely had this planned as he played it pretty much instantly. Pawn to c6 with b captures, and bishop to g5. Now threatening to mess up Alireza's pawn structure in front of the king, but rook to b8, preparing to bring the rook over, all the way to b2. Bishop captures on f6, g captures, and queen to c1. And okay, the queen obviously is headed to the h6 square, but Alireza just goes for rook to b4. And the question is how to continue here. Well, situation on the clock says that Fabi should definitely be playing for the win here. And with queen to h6 and sacrificing the bishop on c4, it looks like it could be played, but okay, we can just show it. Rook captures on c4 and rook f3, preparing rook g3 check. It looks like it's game over, but there actually is a way to defend. Look at this, rook c3. And now comes the rook e to e3, and now look at this, rook captures on e3, f captures, threatening rook g3 check, and pawn captures bishop, but now just king h8. And now after rook to g3, threatening checkmate, now just play bishop captures on e3 with check. It is such a disgusting engine line, but I know how much you guys love those. So that's the only reason I'm showing it. Rook captures on e3. Now f5, and after rook g3, once again threatening checkmate, you have time for f6, and mate is defended. And now let's say e captures on f5. It's Alireza who is up a pawn, and he will be the one pushing for the win. Pawn to e4, pawn to e3, and so on. You have to block and get the rook away from there. So while it is possible to play it, and the engine even says that the white has the best chances to play for the win here, from a human standpoint, not so much, as you've seen, but also probably taking the clock into consideration. So Fabi just brings the bishop back, bishop to f1, and Alireza goes rook to d6. He knows that the f6 pawn is a huge weakness and that it should definitely be defended more than once. We have queen to h6, now comes queen to f8, offering a queen trade, and of course Fabi declines. Queen to h5, queen to g7, and now king to h2. This pin is annoying here. You have to always take into account of what if the queen comes to g4, what if rook b2. This could be an issue. So just king h2. Now the f pawn can even move. Queen to g6. Alireza is up a pawn, so he's constantly offering trades. Queen to f3, and now pawn to c5. Alireza does have a passed c pawn, so c4 is covered, c3 is covered. If this pawn reaches c3, then already Alireza is very much looking for how to play this for a win, even at the expense of maybe an exchange. So rook to c1, now having control over the c4 square, and rook to b2, putting pressure on the f2 pawn. Queen to d1. Defending with a tactic. Even though you're attacking it twice, once rook captures, the rook on d6 will be undefended. So rook d to b6, doubling up on the b file, and now just bishop to e2, cutting off the rook from having access to f2. Queen to h6, and now comes bishop to b5, cutting off the rooks. We have king to f8, and now rook to c2, offering a rook trade, but also getting the rook away from c1, where it's a target. We have rook to b4, and queen to d3. We have rook back to d6, now threatening some maybe discoveries, but not really, as the rook on d6 is undefended. We have bishop to c4, king to e7, now the rook is defended, and queen to g3. The queen just moves. And look at this. Fabi, 5 minutes and 39 seconds on the clock. Alireza, 1 minute and 19 seconds on the clock. And I'm pretty sure if you asked Alireza, does he want to play from the starting position against Fabiano Caruana with Fabi having the white pieces, or does he want a completely random position like this one that is completely equal with him having 1 minute and Fabi 5 minutes? I'm pretty sure Alireza takes this position like every time. Like here it's equal, but he's playing against Fabi without preparation, and from a starting position, even with 2 hours on the clock, I don't know. I'm saying he takes this one every time. Rook to d8. Okay, maybe if the queen moves from the g file, you can go rook to g8, otherwise maybe rook to c8, rook to b8. Many options for the rook here. Fabi does go queen to f3. Now, again, the black queen has to be careful, or the f6 pawn is a target, and rook to g8. Sorry, not right away. First, queen to g6. We have queen to e2, and now, actually, rook d to b8, doubling up on the b file. Rook to g8 was definitely an option. But Alireza, with a minute on the clock, decides that, yeah, I mean, obviously we're not checkmating Fabian g2. We have bishop to b5, disconnecting the rooks, and the rook back to d8. We have queen to f3, rook back to d6. We have g3, so you no longer have to worry about this at all. And queen to g8. Also, the queen overstayed its welcome on the g file. King to g2 and rook to b6. We have pawn to h4 and rook back to d6. So both players just trying to make a move that hurts your position as little as possible, while you're hoping for your opponent to make a mistake. We have queen to e2, rook to b6, we have king to h3, and queen to c8 now. And okay, now we definitely have to worry a little bit, as there's a pin here. So king back to g2 and queen back to g8, king to h3 and queen to c8. So it could be a repetition, but Fabi says nope, queen to g4. I still have more time on the clock. My position is fine. I'm the one pushing here. We have rook to b8. The queen now is defended, and bishop to c4. And what is Fabi's plan with bishop to c4? Why is he giving up the a4 pawn? Is he just hanging a pawn here? Not really, because if you capture queen to g7, and both f6 and f7 are under attack, and Fabi will just win the game here. What you can do after bishop to c4, and I imagine it would be done if Alireza had more time on the clock to calculate, is rook captures on c4. Or maybe Alireza has enough time. Maybe he just calculated it all out and decided that this was not the way to play against a player like Fabi. Point being that after rook captures on c4 and queen to e6, as the rook here is undefended, for example, rook c1, c4, then c3, okay, looks nice, but I mean, chances of crossing c2 are not all that great, and maybe you've just given up a bit too much. So he goes queen to g8, just offers a queen trade, queen back to e2, and rook 8 to b6 now. We have bishop to d5 and rook to d6. Again, you could capture on a4 here, it's not really a problem, but then rook a2, you trade rooks, then the queen comes, and the a5 pawn will fall at some point. Otherwise, you're going to have to worry about the h7 weakness. If the queen helps out with the defense, then the f7 becomes a weakness, and so on and so on. So after bishop d5, rook to d6, and now rook to c4. We have queen to c8, and what do you play here? Well, it's a very tricky position. You always have to worry about moves like rook captures on d5, and if he captures, you're going to lose the rook on f5. So queen to g4, defending, and queen to d7. We have queen to g7, and now king to d8. Here, again, we can play rook captures on d5, but I think even with a minute on the clock, Alireza calculated that it was not worth it, as it's basically a forced draw. For example, king to f8, e captures on d5, rook captures on c4, and now there's just a perpetual. Doesn't matter that black is up a full bishop, king to e7, queen f6 check, and black is unable to escape the perpetual, as you only have e8 and f8 to be used for your king. So after queen to g7, we have king to d8. Alireza seeks refuge on the queen side, and now bishop captures on f7. Here, Alireza allowed Fabi to play for a bit more, but Fabi would have to find rook captures on b4. And now after a captures on b4, and let's say a king h2, king c7, there would be a bishop to b3, and it's very, very hard for Alireza to make a move here. This is defended, c4 is covered, there's really no defense against queen captures on h7, and then just advancing the pass pawn. Whether it would be to victory, or to maybe would you just push until Alireza crumbles under pressure? That is to be, seen in a different universe. But okay, after king to d8, bishop captures on f7 immediately by Fabi, king to c7 by Alireza, and queen to g8. We have bishop captures on f2, as the rook here is pinned, and again, Fabi could play rook captures on b4, a captures on something like pawn to a5. This looks very, very nice, but Fabi actually played queen to a8. It's the move from the thumbnail, and one that really changes the direction of the battle. So he's sacrificing a bishop for another bishop, so to say, and you'll see what I mean by this. Alireza does play queen captures on f7, and now Fabio plays rook captures on b4. Point being that if the c pawn captures, then the bishop covers the a7 square. If this pawn captures, then you just play queen a7 check, and you pick up the black queen on f7. So c captures has to be played, and now just rook captures on f2, grabbing the bishop. Queen to d7 with check. This is still a threat, so you have to be careful. Queen to d7 with check. King to h2, and now king to b6. And Fabi really doesn't have much to show for here. Alireza is just up a pawn, and it's a passed b pawn. So queen to b8 with check. We have king to a6, queen to a8 check, queen to a7. And now, if you trade, then of course the position is winning for Alireza. The passed b pawn is just too strong. So queen to c8 with check, queen to b7, queen to c4 with check, and king to a7. And now, if you give another check, then you can just resign, because queen to b6, and you either trade queens or you move the queen and you blunder the rook here. So Fabi is out of checks here. Rook to c2. Okay. How does Alireza continue? We have queen to d7, now hoping to trade rooks off. Queen to c5 with check, king to a6, and now queen back to f2. This position is so difficult to hold for Fabi that the engine actually gives pawn to h5 as the strongest move. But to understand pawn to h5, I think it's just... I think Fabi's position is so bad that pawn to h5 is just a move that hurts you the least. I mean, it's not a good position. There are no good moves. It's just that this one is the least bad. So that's why the engine is suggesting it. But Fabi played queen to f2, and now Alireza is completely winning. And of course, he finds it fairly quickly. He plays pawn to b3. And the reason why you don't capture on a4 right away, even though you could something like rook c7 and then queen a7, it looks really, really weird. But after queen to d1, it's still winning for black because you allow your king to escape. But in order to avoid calculating all of this, he just plays pawn to b3. And now the rook cannot remain on the c file. You have to move it, and you have to keep it on the second rank. Otherwise, rook to d2 will win the white queen. So rook to b2, and now just queen captures on a4, and there you don't have to worry about any rook to c7 nonsense. Queen to f3, going after the b3 pawn, just rook to b6 defending. And now with the b3 pawn defended, it's merely a matter of moving the queen and advancing the passed a pawn to victory. We have queen to d3 check, king to a7, queen to d5, and now queen to a3. Going after the rook, we have queen to d2 defending, and queen to b4. Offering a trade, of course, Fabi cannot accept this, queen to d8, and now pawn to a4. With queen to c3, you are a bit more careful here. After pawn to a4, you actually allow Fabi to get back into the game a little bit. Fabi plays rook to d2 here, and now Alireza has to play queen captures on e4, or queen to c4, but he played pawn to b2, he rushed it a little bit, and now objectively the position is a draw. We have rook to d7 with check, and Alireza blocks with rook to b7. And there is only one way that Fabi can play in order not to lose this game, but it's not an easy one to spot. Feel free to pause the video and try to find the only way for Fabi not to lose this game while I give you a couple of seconds. So for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on finding this brilliancy. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, it is rook to d5. This is the move that holds the position. Fabi did not find it. He played rook captures on b7, but I will show it as I know how much you guys enjoy weird positions that never happened. Point is that rook to a5 check, and you cannot avoid the checks. For example, queen to c4, rook to a5 check. Even if black was to give up a queen, for example, rook captures, king captures, and hope to promote this pawn to a new queen, it's impossible to avoid all the checks. King to b6, you have to defend the rook. Queen to d8 with check. Let's say king to b5, you play queen to d5 check. King a6, queen to c6 check. Rook to b6, queen captures on a4. King to b7 and queen to d7, you will always have a check along this diagonal. So that's why after rook to b7, rook captures on b7 was played. Unfortunately for Fabi, he did not find rook to d5, but now it's completely winning for Alireza. But you have to be careful what you capture with. What would you capture with in this position? Fabi just played rook captures on b7. What do you capture with? Of course, you capture with the king, and this is what Alireza played. Fabi was probably thinking of queen captures on b7, and then after queen to a5 check, okay, you do have some drawing chances because of all the checks. If you move the king, it's just queen d8, queen a5 check, and if you block with the queen, then queen c7 check, and after king to a8, queen to d8 check, and so on and so on. Maybe it's possible for black to somehow escape, but it doesn't look like it's possible. So king captures on b7, and this is now different. The black king is not boxed in, and Alireza's king is escaping. Queen to d7 check, king to b6, queen to d8 with check. We have king to b5, king to b5, queen to d5 with check, queen to c5, queen to b7 with check, and queen to b6. We have queen to d5 check, king to b4, and he was in this position on move 85 that Fabiano Caruana resigned the game. And Alireza takes a full point from a former World Chess Championship challenger, a former 2800 player, and someone who, I mean, played one of the, not one of the greatest tournaments, could be even the greatest tournament if, you know, we're not counting the Bobby Fischer's legendary run of Palma de Mallorca interzonal candidates matches and the match against Boris Spassky. His 2014 performance in the Sinquefield Cup, I mean, absolutely incredible. And some of you have been asking me to show this event, so I might even show all of the games that Fabi played there, as it is truly an incredible run, starting with a 7 out of 7. But yeah, Alireza defeated Fabi here with the black pieces, no less, and he finished by winning the tournament, half a point ahead of Fabiano Caruana. So even with this loss, Fabi got close to winning the tournament again. But yeah, these were the standings. Alireza wins with 6 points ahead of Fabi with 5.5, and like I said, we covered it in the previous video, but Alireza now world number 5 with 2766. Fabi also won some rating, very, very close to 2800. The biggest winner in the world is Hans Niemann with plus 22 points. Absolutely incredible. Some other big winners, MVL with 9.6, Vincent Keimer with 10 points. But yeah, all in all, this is yesterday's list, so I don't know if it changed today, but yeah, yesterday there were only 32 players rated 2700 and above. And the way this is won, or the reason why you resign this, is that I mean, okay, a couple of more checks, like queen to d2 check, king to a3 will give a queen to c3 check, queen to b3, queen to c5 check, and king to a2. No more checks. B1 brings a queen into the game, and you easily checkmate the white king. So yeah, that's the game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Like I said, sorry about not covering it right away, but I only started covering it from day 3, as I was on holiday. But I thought, yeah, it is a much needed one, and I thought we should cover this one in great detail. Yeah, it's a 20-minute video, but you know, sorry about that. And now we are moving on to other things. You know, you're welcome to recommend it. I'm still preparing the Steinitz saga. It is coming. You know, we cannot rush such things, otherwise it's not going to be prepared properly. But yeah, in the meantime, while I'm preparing it, I could show Fabi's legendary run of 2014 if you guys are interested in seeing that. So that's the game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I would like to thank Robert Stadelman, Jack Obi, Otis the Great Dane Who Loves Chess, Andrei Sharad, and Robert Palandek for your contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing to check up on your wonderful suggestions and whatever else happens in the chess world. So thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.